Hey guys, so I wanted to explain your project for the Prob and Stat section. So it's going to be a two-part of all about your classmates. You're going to do this with a partner, or depending on the way it works out, you may have a group of three. I will be assigning partners just to make it easier. So you and your partner are going to ask your classmates two different types of questions. So the first one is probably the easier of the parts. This one, you're going to think of a question with multiple choice answers that you are going to ask your classmates. So I'm going to give you an example because we're all asking each other in class. There cannot be any duplicate questions. So your homework for between now and next class is to get with your partner and come up with two questions for part one. Rank them in order of this is our first priority, this is the second one, and then that way if you have if anyone has the same question, I can tell you guys that you'll do the second question or vice versa. So that's your homework. Make sure you have two different questions for part one that you and your partner have agreed on, and the multiple choice options, and then you're going to send that in to me on D2L, and I'll let you know which one your question will be. So here's our example, so nobody can use this one. So the example is, I may ask, what kind of pet do you have? So with that, I already need to have my 6 multiple choice options. So I would say, what kind of pet do you have? Dog, cat, fish, lizard, gerbil, or no pet? You're going to make your predictions. Which do you think is going to be the most popular, least popular? Now, you can't really fill this part out until I've said, hey, this is the question that you are doing of the two that you've sent in. So this is just kind of thinking ahead. I need a question and then 6 multiple choice options, 2 of those. Once we do that, on Wednesday in class, we will actually start collecting the data. So of the question that you sent me to, I tell you this is the one you're doing. You will then write your multiple choice options here. And so then you're going to ask the question to people. What kind of pet do you have? Well, the first person says a dog. So then I'm going to put a tally mark there. And then I ask another person, what kind of pet do you have? And they say a dog. So then I put a tally mark there. And so on and so forth. You have to ask at least 20 people. So I may keep asking, and my tally may look something like this all the way until I get to 20 or more. However many people you ask, though, you'll put that in your total. Okay, so that's part one. Pause all of this. We'll talk about it in class. Part two, you're also going to send me 2 questions for this one. Think of a question that you could measure. Now, because our class is in Zoom, we will not be able to physically measure, like with a ruler. So this part right here where it talks about to the nearest quarter of an inch, don't worry about that because we don't really have the possibility to measure. So we're going to be measuring in terms of how many siblings do you have? How many apps on your phone do you have? How many followers on social media? How many hours of sleep did you get last night? Any option to how many blank do you have? Do you whatever? Okay? So not actually measuring people, unless you want to ask about like height or shoe size, something that people just kind of know those numbers off the top of your head. But you will not be doing any rounding to the nearest quarter inch, so you can ignore that. And then once I tell you your question, you will write it in here, and then you'll fill out the here and here. Then you'll fill out the predictions, and then we'll start collecting data in class. So what I need from you are 2 questions for part one, which is multiple choice questions, and then there's 6 answers, and then 2 questions for part two, which is not multiple choice. That is going to be a numerical value, a how many or how much questions.